When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gane, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I'm here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gane.
And we're going to talk about, are you manifesting love the right way? This is going to be fun. So we have some topics outlined for you coming up in February. We're going to start with this one. And we're going to talk all about love because it's February and it's the love month. Yep. That's what I got.
What we do in February.
Yeah. Who doesn't, right?
I think that is what we've always done in February. Mm-hmm. I'd have to look back at the very first year, but I'm guessing every February this is the topic, which is fun.
Yeah. So you guys kind of probably knew it was coming.
But I feel like it's going to feel different this year, right? Because we're doing it a little differently, and they're just going to get to hear way... I don't know. You guys are always hearing about us, but get to hear about Jenny and I in a different way.
Also, like, we're different.
Yes.
We're very different. I'm sure for anyone who kind of binge listens and they're like, oh my gosh, they're so different talking just the way they talk from year 1 to year 5 or whatever it is, you know?
Yes, absolutely. It's so true.
What are you excited about, Cass?
I'm excited about our topic. Mm-hmm. I am also excited about everything that's unfolding in my business. Like you could go back over the years and count probably how many times I've said this, but you know, when you this stuff just gets better because what happens is it gets bigger and you get to see more, I think, of, for me, it's not just like it is inspirations, but inspirations come faster and closer together, whereas I used to get maybe like a glimmer, like, oh, okay, like this most recent inspiration is everything laid out, and so that is super fun. And to get to see how it tied back to the work that I did last year and just continuing to take the steps forward and do exactly what I tell my people to do, follow my own system, and see what's happening now because of that. And I can look back and I can be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and that makes sense, and oh, that's what my future self was saying. I thought it meant this, but this is what it really meant. And so it's just so fun. Yeah,
that's really cool. I can see that too. I was talking to my Truth Tribe coaches. We were doing our coaches meeting, and I was catching up and saying how that's the thing. I'm like, guys, it's like inspiration comes all the time now. It's like the most consistent it's ever been.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a good sign as we talk about practicing consistently, and you can bring that awareness for yourself. Like when you're noticing that your results, like your outcomes are more consistent or your feelings are more consistent, whatever they might be, that's always great evidence of you shifting, like those big internal shifts.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's what
do you is that what you're excited
about?
Yeah,
that is what I'm excited about. Well, I am excited about how I feel, and it ties exactly into that. Like I was sharing with Cassie earlier, I feel so solid and so grounded and steady. I don't even know the right words to describe it, but it's like so solid in who I am, where I'm going, and it's very unshakable. And I don't think I've ever been in this place in my life in terms of, like, I always know everything's working out, but it's more than that. It's just like there's no need to I don't even need to say that. I just know it, and it feels awesome.
Yay.
Yeah. So that's really good.
That's amazing. I love it.
So do you want to intro our topic a little bit?
Okay. Yeah. So this topic is for those of you. I specifically wanted to title it this way because I think love, when it comes to relationships and love, there's always opportunities to be like, what am I doing wrong? And like opportunities that we choose to look at, like that's what we go to, right? What am I doing wrong? What else should I do? How come it's not happening yet? All of these things. And I can see in both of Jenny and I's story, like if you're living any parts of those stories, I can see where as a listener you would be thinking that. And so it's important to me, now that we are, where we are in our lives, to be able to share how it was always working out, how you're probably doing it right, and maybe what you could upgrade if there is an upgrade to do, which oftentimes there's not. There's not another thing.
I love that. I want to highlight that. Like oftentimes there's not something more or else to do. And it's just that making that huge switch from from what am I doing wrong to, oh, I'm doing everything right. That's one of the biggest switch that's happening with one of my clients, and she's getting it, and you can see it reflected in how she's feeling and what's happening in her life. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's for me on my journey, there were moments where it was like, should I do something else? And I'm like, no, I've done it all.
Yeah.
But it's trusting that. I had to trust that, not necessarily that I was doing it right, but that I've done all the things I need to do. I just need to keep living and growing and being. Like there is nothing else like, oh, it's not that I'm not clear on this thing. And what I think can happen with love is that people go back and then you're actually, like we've talked about this on shows before, when you go back and you dig up what's wrong, you're going to find something that's wrong. And you're going to create something like, oh, I need to get over this, or I must need to heal this, or I must need to do that. And very often it's not true. Like it's really about checking in with yourself and like, is there anything else I need to do, for this, or do I just need to let it simmer,
And I want to kind of set the stage a little bit for any new listeners or anyone who hasn't kind of caught all of the different parts of Cassie and I's stories. We are both with our people, and we both have very opposite experiences getting there, and opposite external experiences. So I dated a lot of people, and Cassie didn't, and they were the core of how we grew into who we needed to be to meet our people was very the same. And so that's what it has similarities, but that's what we're going to talk about. So
I think it's important to hear there's no one way. And for me, manifesting love is way different. It's why I start with money as the foundation, because money, the universe can deliver quick. We can see the fruits of our labor, so to speak, our manifesting efforts, our energy, our intention. It shows up physically very quickly.
That is so funny. Right? I think that about, I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh,
you
that's
do?
why yes, because like I feel like we can manifest love so quickly, and that it shows up because it's so natural for us, like to feel love, like we're made of love. And it might not show up in your person right away, but you can always like manifest it physically in a million other ways. That is so cool. I love that. See, there you go. Already one difference.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, it's so awesome. And so as you're listening, one of the best ways is really, we've done entire shows on this, but when you're listening to the two of us, and again, a lot of the core things are the same, right? And if we say something like that, you like if it's relief to hear me say like, oh, love takes a little longer, then take that. If it's relief to hear Jenny say, ooh, like it comes fast. I believe it comes fast. Like take the one that feels better.
Yeah.
Go with that. That's the right answer for you. That's the right place to flow your energy. Like trust that. If what Jenny just said felt better than what I said, absolutely, like follow that train of energy and thought and feeling.
And that's you practicing this the right way right now. By being able to say, oh, that resonates with me. I'm going to, just like Cass said, I'm going to take that. that thought's for me. That idea's for me, because that's what you are learning to do. I don't know if this is the right place to fit this in, but I'm going to leave it. Actually, I'm going to leave it. So.
Okay. But I will say that is probably step one. It might not be the thing that we decided on pre-discussion, right? Before we start recording. But number one is to follow that, because that is your truth and that is your guidance. What feels good. So I'm sure that we'll come to this example later on, as we've used it before, right? You know, that saying, like, you have to put yourself out there if you want love. If what that conjures up is things that do not feel good, that's not the answer. That is not where you shouldn't force yourself into believing that or acting upon that. Right? And you get to choose your journey and your path. Like, if that doesn't feel good, great. What feels good? Yeah. Oh, I think that my person will just show up in my life one day. Someone will introduce me to him, right? Follow what feels good on this journey.
Okay, so I am going to bring this in, because what I was going to say was, it's, I think, the most essential core, anything before you're ever going to have a harmonious, beautiful, joyful relationship, is trusting yourself. And that what we're talking about in knowing what feels good and then following it, that is you practicing the trust in yourself. So when Cass gives that example of, oh, you catch the belief, I think my person's just going to show up. And then, great. Then it's trusting that from yourself, because there's a world telling you how to do it. And the path is you tuning into what's right for you and trusting it. And we've talked about trust, so we talk about it all the time because it's so integral to manifesting, but it's believing that you can have it your way, that you get everything you want. But so when you take that thought, you have to practice that. You have to practice the belief in that. It doesn't. So if you think about it this way, there's the world outside, 90% of the energy is telling you to do it this way. And if you're focused on that 90% of the time, you're going to believe that more. You have to build the beliefs and the thoughts that you want to be true for you. That's part of learning to trust yourself, is being deliberate about that.
So let's break down and maybe give some examples so that our listeners can catch themselves. The first thing that comes to mind on this topic, right? Let's just use this putting yourself out there, and you're like, no, like Jenny just said, you get to believe it's your way and you get to trust yourself, and you have to practice trusting that. So one of the first ways to trust that, if somebody says something to you about, well, if you want to be in, get married, you've got to put yourself out there. The first thing, so the thing to stop yourself from doing in order to honor your beliefs in the way that you want to create it, is to not give any energy to thinking, are they right?
Yes. Should I?
Yeah.
Can you remember a time? Sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
Can you remember a time when someone like specifically said that to you?
Yes,
no one ever said that to me.
Wait. So they didn't say it in that way. I hear that from my clients. I go with my clients about that. I did do different things and different coaches, and really, they thought, like, my coach thought internet dating was like the best thing ever, which is, This is a very interesting story. So I did not love it.
Yeah.
I did not, it wasn't my thing. But what I did find that when I followed what was fun was speed dating. Like, for me, that was fun and easy. And it was easy to show up for 2 hours, like hang out, be in that energy, having conversations. For me, that felt more like practicing and being in what I want, versus online dating for me felt very like, it really felt desperate to me. And it never made the shift to feeling fun. Maybe for little tiny moments, but never really held. Whereas like speed dating was super fun.
Now, I'm so curious. So did the speed dating satisfy, did you have the belief like I need to put myself out there and then that satisfied that?
I didn't have that belief. That's not why I went speed dating.
Okay, that was what I was after. Yeah.
Yeah, it came very much more organically as a thing I found, and I'm like, oh, this sounds fun, and I got my friend involved, and we went together, and it was more of an experience. And then as I looked at it, it felt like practicing the energy that I wanted to be. And so it was still a thing that I think I went again, and you know, I liked it. There was not a match. I didn't pick anyone that time, but it just felt better. And the thing that I knew, and this is why I would say trust it, like I knew, not because I didn't want it to be true, but the thing I knew is that my person was not online dating. Like I knew that wasn't where they were.
Yeah. And
so anytime, you know, that would be a suggestion or a whatever. And I actually did have friends. Like, they didn't say you should put it out there. But I had a friend who was really loving this. I mean, and she did this whole thing and it felt good to her. I mean, she had a roster. She was like dating for the fun and dating for like, you know, days of the week and like, you know, filling up this whole calendar for fun. And so there was some pressure at one time. And I was like, my person is just not there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, so I wanted to point out one thing. So two things. When you went for what you really wanted, it was like, I want to have fun. And then the idea of speed dating came up, and that like those are the details filling in and adding to your experience, right? It's not trying to find the solution and saying, what should I do to put myself out there, right? That's all coming from your head. That's not what we do. The other part is being very deliberate about, I didn't match with anyone, or I didn't say yes to anyone, and describing that as, I don't know if you even caught it, Cass, but you said, I had a great time. Like, I had so much fun. And that was the label you put on the experience versus just labeling, I didn't meet anyone, that was a waste. Right? So there's so many like conscious points that we can be deliberate about how we're moving through this experience. And all of those are keeping you moving. All of those are keeping you in that allowing place.
Yes. Yeah.
So putting yourself out there, that was one of them.
Like, where should we go? So did we just put the end on that? Like, but which is one of the things that comes up. But the thing about that is I always go to that because that comes up a lot with my clients. It's one of the things that we coach through a lot. And it was so fun. Like, I had a client and we coached through that. And then, you know, like days later, she went and she had like 3 people like have options for her, you know, and none of them were like, those weren't the things that have worked out, but it was just so fun. Like, she was like, this isn't for me. And I'm like, great. Like, I'm not telling you to do that. Like, let's think about what would be more fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really practicing and that trust within yourself, and trust the parts of this that you know. And that might be a good question to even start with, like, in this idea of the process. So you guys know you're not, you know, we're not meant to figure out the how, but the clarity. It's like Cassie had, I know my person isn't online. Well, what do you know that maybe you're not fully trusting? And that might be a place to start, and just be like, I'm willing to trust this more, or I want to trust this more, and start in that place.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love that, because it leaves that, like, if you trust those things, because they're right. Like, and I would have never imagined why it was right. Like, I knew it just wasn't, right? And that's okay. Like, I think the biggest thing when we're kind of talking about this topic and trusting yourself is that if you are trusting yourself, you are leaving all doors open. It's the minute that you try to force it and do the how that you start closing the doors.
Oh, I like that. I like that way to look at it. We were just talking today, and one of the women was saying, I want to keep my doors open, but is there, she was asking, if I clearly see something that is not, like, I know I don't want, am I closing the door? Am I closing a door by saying, like, okay, next? You know what I mean? And, or is that trusting myself? And so that's a great way to phrase it, is like when you're able to say, oh, that's a clear, I don't resonate with that. That's clearly not what I want. Like, it's not my person. You're staying open by saying no to that, which sounds weird. It's a weird way to put it, but that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. You're staying open for what you want. You're trusting yourself by saying no to that thing, instead of saying, oh, maybe it will work and maybe I can change, or maybe that will change about them, right? Instead of trying to convince or have that dialogue happen within you. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the next, like, the piece of this is we're talking, like, the biggest thing is trusting yourself. And so when you trust yourself, you don't have to justify or explain.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't, like, and I just always go, because I think this is a topic that comes up a lot around attracting the one, is online dating, right? So if you're, if you're like, oh, this isn't more, if this is, sorry, I lost it for a second. If you are, that's like, okay, my person is not there. But then you start explaining and justifying instead of holding that as truth and honoring that truth, that energy becomes wobbly, right? You don't have to justify it with, a lot of times it'll be like, I just don't want to do that. I don't, like, doesn't matter. Like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. It doesn't matter the reasons, right? It doesn't matter, like, if the reason is you don't want to be on the computer longer, or it just doesn't feel good, or whatever, you don't have to do it.
And we aren't really against online dating at all. It might sound like it.
Right, yeah. No, I just think it's,
online, yeah. If you love it the same, like, I love it, and you own that.
Right. But it should be, there's no middle. And I think that's what it is, right? Is there should be no middle about, like, you should love it, or you should not like it and don't be doing it.
If it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's the place I think people try and force themselves into. And
I hear a lot of, I'm going to try that. I'm trying that again. I open my account again. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Try
not clarity.
Site.
That's not manifesting love from a place of clarity. That's like, let me dip my toe in the water. That's not, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just use it, like, I am fine with it. Like I said, I have friends who loved it, had so much fun, and really learned a lot about who they were, created the love of their life in addition to having so much fun, and really enjoyed the process. And that's the way it should feel.
Can we talk about, take it a bit more general from online dating to just having the clarity, am I dating, or do I want to date or not? Like, am I open to date or am I not? Or am I, like, talk about how there's what the clarity in that experience is like.
Yeah, say it.
So
what are we talking about?
Well, I feel like there might be some times things happening where it's like, okay, well, if they come along and it's really passive, and what that experience will bring to you versus I'm open or I'm closed kind of experience. Well, if you're closed, you're closed. That's easy.
So are you talking about dating as, like, being open to the one, or
yes,
sort of like entertainment along the way?
So they want to meet their one, open to the one.
Okay. So what's the question? Like, put it in what would someone be asking us if they were asking us a question about this?
I don't know if there's a question. What's coming up is I sense that there's confusion, there's vibrational wobble in people that like, I'm ready to meet someone, I'm ready to meet my person, but I'm not actually ready. You know, I think I'm ready, but I'm not actually ready, kind of thing. And that's...
And what do you...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go.
Oh, I was just going to say, is it they know that they're not actually ready? Or
that
you
might be
think
it.
that that's unconscious?
Yes. That might be it. Is they think they're ready, but they're not.
Got it. And so how, like, are we talking about how you identify that? Or,
Yes.
Oh. I think you assume you're ready and you move forward.
This
like
is
whatever
the
that
best
looks like.
answer ever, right? Because then you take out the question, and that's what like Cass and I are really getting after is taking out the questions of whether you're doing it right or analyzing how you're doing it, any of that. So it's just assume you're doing it right and assume you're ready and go forward and learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll cover some of this in because some of the things we're going to talk about this month we are going to do an episode on how to know if it's the one. And so, but if you just go forward, part of what we'll say in that episode is you stop asking that question. And so if you believe you are ready, and part of knowing that you're ready is just choosing to be ready, right? And when you choose to be ready, what happens is you start to resonate, whether you technically are or not in that moment. When you choose to be ready, you are moving in, you are becoming immediately the person who is ready. And so when you practice that beingness, the things that are not ready are going to show up real fast. So if there is anything else to learn, if there is anything else to heal or move through or, understand about yourself, those things are gonna come up when you decide you're ready. Because in order to be ready, if those have to bubble up, then they'll bubble up quickly.
I love this concept in manifesting that, I just get to decide that I'm ready. I don't have to like wait for something outside of me to change in order to give me evidence that I'm ready. No. Yes. Just decide. You just choose. It can be as simple as that. And I'm ready. And the next part to this I want to say is that when something does show up, that it's like, this I call it contrast, comes in. This isn't the guy I wanted to meet. This is not my perfect man. I must not be ready. That's not what it means. Wrong. Yeah. So this is like this total switch of like continuing to move forward and letting go of looking back and analyzing and questioning and just knowing you're moving forward. Decide you're ready and move forward and say yes to what comes in and continue to choose the analysis of what's happening as for you, as a part of you being ready, getting more ready. You know, when you say you're ready for what comes in. And if it's not everything, you will get ready, more ready for the ultimate during that process. You cannot get it wrong. The way you get it wrong is looking back and saying, did I do it wrong? Am I doing it wrong? What do I need to do different?
Right. Is making it mean that you were doing something like you were doing something wrong in order to manifest this, instead of seeing it as, this is the thing moving me forward. This is the thing I didn't know I needed, but I do need it.
I learned that
to
one.
get there. You want to tell us about it?
I mean, there's so many. Like when I look I was such a person that like I love. I cherished every one of my relationships and I felt they were all perfect. And like Cass was teasing me. She's like, you thought you were going to marry everyone. I'm like, I know. But that was what it was, is I loved all of them for everything they were. And I was that's why I was able to learn pretty quickly through them and grow pretty quickly as a result of all of them. And then attract the next thing I needed. And there was a lot of things I needed to learn in order to become. And I don't know, do we want to maybe kind of wrap up this week and save that for next week?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap up and save it.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So tune in next week and we will continue this episode. So have a great one, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, it's Ginny here. Have you ever questioned, when is that thing you want coming? Like, how close am I really to manifesting it? You know your alignment is the key to manifesting what you want, but how can you measure this alignment? Well, I have something for you. I created a simple 2-minute quiz. Pop over to my website, ginnygane.com, and take the alignment quiz so you can find out how much time you're spending in alignment and how close you are to getting what you really want. That's GINNYGANE.com. Have fun with it.
Go be awesome.
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.